Bonjour, Kinawea, Paige Riley, Indigenous cause. My name is Paige Riley. Kejanong, Minwachiging, Nishnabek, the Ben Douglas. I belong to the people from Wapu Island and West Bay. Nishnabek Kwayandao. I'm a Nishnabek woman. I'm going to share a prayer that we do at Wabanong every day. And it goes like this. So, Kachimi Gwech, Kajamnedo, Kinagego, Gami Jang, Meanwa Nagooding, Gi Jagut, Gizis Gi Benabid, Jimmy Gwech, Gimi Jang, Mandasa Bamadzuin, Widokish Nang, Jinamoyang, Gawak She Bamoseang, Nod Moshanong, Dunwendoganik, Meanwa Nodmo, Okwaze Bamadzachik. Okay, so the prayer I just said, it just thanks Creator for another day, that He shined on us, that we have this good life. We ask our ancestors to walk with us and to be with us and to help those that are sick. And this is a prayer that we say every day at Wabanong, Family Head Start. And it's really good just to practice to say thanks every day for a new day. Makwen mish, Anishnabek kweok, Gonchigazjik, and Mesnazjik. Non Moshanong, Kinanishnabek, Wimskogabwing, Nigan Nikea Pane. And the last part I added is to remember these women that were murdered and missing. And that all of us, Anishinaabe people, that we can stand strong together into the future. Miigwech.
Bonjour and welcome to the 2021 memorial video of love and hope in honor of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit. On behalf of the Indigenous Women's Anti-Violence Task Force and the communities of Baoting, we invite you to join us with your hearts and with your minds. And we hope to inspire you to do what you can, to take action when you can, to protect our sacred and stop the violence. Miigwech.
Anin Bojo Kiniwaya, Ogamon Nimanagojin Goyakasit, Chief Dean Sayers coming to you from Baoting down at Whitefish Island in the center of North America, the center of Turtle Island, the heart of our mother. And I think it's really important that we came here today because we work with and we reflect our mother, the earth, in everything that we do. And we always acknowledge all of creation. And today I once again call on all the spirit through the use of the Sema and all of our relatives to help us with these issues around missing and murdered Indigenous women. You may not be aware of this, but only 4% of the population in Canada is Indigenous, but we have 16% of the murders. Indigenous women represent 16% of all of the murders in Canada. And we also represent 11% of all missing women. Those statistics are just not right. We need to work even more so to change that stat. I call on all the agencies all of the governments, right from the municipal, the provincial, the federal, Indigenous governments. We want you to take a look at how you deal with missing and murdered Indigenous women. Tweak your policies. Let's do what we can to change that statistic. On a personal note, more recently in the last few months, my niece went missing, and luckily we found her. But it was because of ceremony, it was because of the agencies, it was because of the police, all working cooperatively together to make sure that she was able to be found successfully. She's healthy and she's safe now, but that came with effort. So we're looking for change to happen at a number of levels, whether that means policy levels, procedural levels, regulation levels, legal, legislative levels, but we do need to change the script. And I'm looking forward to everybody helping us out with this. So missing and murdered Indigenous women is a real issue, not only for Indigenous people, but for all of Canadians, okay? So until we do meet somewhere on the trail again, take care, remember the spirit, remember prayer, and we'll look forward to seeing you somewhere on the trail. MMIWG2S.
Today we're going to be hanging ribbons in the 4 colors. The colors are traditional to Indigenous people and they represent balance. Every color has a different aspect. So what we do is we hang the ribbons all the way along Queen Street. We're going to be going up to Gore Street, and the reason we do that is because it's a visual representation that we are Indigenous, we are still here. It's a sign of hope. It's a reminder to stay balanced in our daily lives. We've been hanging the ribbons every year for the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's event. Today we have a group of community members. Some of them work at different agencies within the city. Some of them are friends or family members of different agency workers. Some of them are students. And we also have a few people who are personally impacted by this issue. I think the message that we're trying to convey here for people going by, there is always a couple people who will stop and ask what we're doing. By telling them what we're doing, by telling them about the event, by making them aware what these colors represent, gives them a moment to pause and reflect and to learn something new.
The March for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls.
Yeah. And every year we would have a ceremony at the cenotaph in front of the courthouse to commemorate this march, and the march would go from there. And it was always a very impactful event, and I look forward to attending it next year. Whereas the March for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls is a national event held to raise awareness about the disproportionate number of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Whereas this is an opportunity for Indigenous and non-Indigenous people of all genders and ages to gather in solidarity to remember, honor, and grieve those who have passed on, or those who have gone missing. Whereas on February 14th, 2021, the people of Bawating and across Canada will participate in the National Day of Action Remembrance for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls to call for action to end this violence. Now, therefore, I, Christian Provenzano, as Mayor of the City of Sault Ste. Marie, do hereby proclaim February 14th, 2021 as a Memorial Day to remember and honor missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And I encourage all residents of the city to support this very important national event. Thank you.
Her name is Cheyenne Santana Marie Fox. She was born November 19th, 1992 in Sioux Lookout, Ontario. Growing up, because I really didn't deal with the abuse of being with men, I didn't notice or I didn't really understand domestic abuse. Her father was abusive, so I eventually had to leave him. I went to a shelter, and that's when I got counseling for domestic violence. On April 26th, 2013, my husband and I were sleeping, and I heard a loud knock on the door, and then I went to the door, and there was a big police officer, standing at my door. And he goes, "Are you Michelle Mainville?" I said, "Yes." And then he goes, "Is there anybody else in the house?" I said, "Yes, my husband." He goes, "What's his name?" So I gave him his name. He goes, "Can he come out?" And I thought my husband was in trouble. So I'm thinking, okay. And I looked at my husband and I said, "What did you do?" He goes, "Oh, I didn't do nothing." And the police officer informed me that my daughter had passed the night before. I had asked him what happened, and he told me that she had fallen from the 24th floor of a high-rise. I didn't want to believe it, so I had asked him what division had found her, and I wanted to make sure it was her because I still didn't believe it. So I called the division that had found her. I spoke to the police officer, and I asked him, I said, "I'm the mother of Cheyenne Fox. I said, I want to clarify." I said, I want to know what happened, and I want to make sure that it's her. The police officer told me it was her, that they had found her IDs on her. And I asked him what had happened. He proceeded to tell me, he goes, "Did you know that she was a prostitute? She was on drugs and she jumped." I was like I was in shock the way he was talking to me. I told him, I'm her mother. You don't have to, say that to me like that. And then he goes, "It is what it is." They gave me all the information that I needed to hear, but I didn't believe them. We all believed that she was thrown off the way everything was going that night. Police were called 3 times that night. The police when they had left her there, that's when I think that's when she went out to the balcony. And that's where another fight had ensued. And the police were called a 3rd time. And that's when they found her on the ground on the 24th floor. So it's real. Aboriginal women, even young men, they're not looked as, how would you say, real people. I want people to be aware that it's out there, and that because they are Native, they don't get the proper investigations. It's kind of swept under. under the rug. It's out there, and it's true. And you know, and it's sad because it's like we don't have a voice, and that's why when I tell my daughter's story, you know, she has a voice, even though she's not here. She's one of many. And so by telling her story, you know, it educates, you know, even through human trafficking, you know, the luring, the grooming, you know, what is out there, you know, especially for vulnerable young women and men, you know, young men, you know, it's right across the board.
We're here for you, we're on your side. Hey-yo, hey-yo, hey-yo.
Miigwech. This is Chief Goche from Missinaba Cree First Nation. I'd like to welcome everybody to this event, Missing Murdered Indigenous Women. I'd like to say that the community is in support of this event, and also that our heart goes out to those who have lost sisters, mothers, women due to the what's happening out there in the world. And I'd like to say that I'm in great support of this project and this day. So miigwech, and thank you very much.
An earthly web of transformation and forgiveness to bring those who have gone back home. And just like the vibrant beauty of a serpent gliding through the water effortlessly as if it were a butterfly, or the cycle of life of the sockeyed salmon, who, one way or another, always find their way home, you will find your way home.
Because of COVID, we've had to become innovative, and we have this beautiful display. It's at 180 Projects on Gore Street, and we have 4 beautiful windows, and each window is very significant with what it represents. The first window is a beautiful display of a variety of red dresses that are hanging on an empty hanger. And that is significant because the empty hanger signifies the life that's been lost. It is the woman, it is the girl, it's the child who's gone missing, and therefore their spirit will never again be part of this community, part of our lives. And it really does drive it home because we do see that there is a small dress, so we are losing young children, we are losing girls as well. And there's also a shirt, a red shirt, so that signifies that we are losing two-spirited people, as well as sometimes boys.
The red is a sacred color for Anishinaabe people, and it represents the spirit. And when that red is out, it calls those spirits here to come and help the people. And the dress in itself, it represents that feminine side, and that women, Koyuk, we can dress appealing, and we can be safe wearing that dress. And that's why we have the red dresses.
The next display is a beautiful display. It was a commemorative project that was done about a year ago, and it centers around a moose hide. And the moose hide represents Turtle Island. And it was done for a number of individuals who experienced the loss of somebody through either murder or have experienced some violence themselves. And they were invited to make a small red dress in honor of that individual so that they could spend some time remembering their loved one, so that they could make a dress to honor them. And the dresses were then put on the hide. And there's a lot of significance with the hide because the hide traditionally represents male energy, and it's a wonderful way for the men and for the boys to stand up and say that we're going to put an end to this violence, that it does start with us and that we can make the change. If you look closely at the moose hide, and I do hope that you come down and check out the display in person, you'll see some small pins that are placed in the center of the hide around where the Great Lakes are situated. And that indicates where the loved ones of the people who participated in this display ended up losing their family members. Either they went missing or they've been murdered. So it's certainly very touching. There are a number of families who've been impacted in our community here alone. The third display that you'll notice is a beautiful display that features a star quilt. And in the Indigenous culture, the star quilt is significant because it is a way for a person to show the utmost honor and respect for an individual. So it has that incredible significance to it. It's a way that we're able to honor the lives of those who have gone missing or have been murdered. When I think of quilts, if you look at the quilt, it's absolutely beautiful, and there's a lot of individual pieces that have come together to form this beautiful pattern. And just like if one of those blocks in that quilt went missing, the quilt would not be whole. And then our final display features some messages of hope. We have a lot of people walking by. A lot of individuals in this area may definitely be affected by the violence that they experience. And so we want them to have some hope. We want to send messages to them and let them know that you are loved, you are important, you are valuable. And so we would encourage you to definitely send a message of hope. And we will, over the next month, create a beautiful poster with your message, and we'll put it on display in this one area. As you can see, there's definitely room for more, so get your encouraging words out there and make sure that you become a voice as part of this display. So this display is at 180 Gore Street, and it's going to be on display for the next month. So we started our display February 8th. It's going to continue until March 9th, which is the International Day of Women. And so we encourage you to come down over the next month, check out the display. There's so many beautiful things that have been put on display here. I wasn't able to do it all justice, but definitely come down. And as well, when you check out the display, there's a sign in the windows that asks you to text the words, "I will honor my sisters." And we have the phone number, 705-971-5479. So please text that to us. That'll let us know that you've seen the display, that you do support our cause, and you'll have a chance to win a $100 gift card.
The time is now to heal from inside. You're not alone.
Ani Bosho, Nawabigishik get the Ganzi Bidonjaba, Namedo Anishinaabe, Minawama, Shkego, and Dow. Good morning, everybody. Chief Andy Rickert from Gardner First Nation. And I wanted to speak about and bring attention to the missing, murdered, and Indigenous women and young girls in this country. I think we all know that this is a serious problem for Indigenous people, Indigenous communities. You know, you just got to turn on the computer, go on the internet, turn on your TV, and there's always headlines about some of our young girls, some of our women missing. It seems to be daily or weekly, and it's obviously a problem that you know, each one of our communities is dealing with. It's something that for me hits home because I am the father of two young girls, and to know that our people are going through these challenges in this country, victimized, and obviously going through the struggles of having to be protected and to feel like they're safe, especially within this country, is always concerning. So again, what I wanted to put out the message is that, you know, this is something serious that we need to lend some attention to, and you know, have those hard, meaningful conversations with our federal, provincial partners to figure out ways that we can invest resources to ensure that our women are protected and they feel safe. We also need our police enforcement agencies as well to step up and to also provide that level of support, provide that level of protection for our women, for our children, especially Indigenous communities. You see our people being victimized every day, And again, this is a serious matter, and every day this is an important day to pay respect and to acknowledge and to remember all those missing and murdered women that have gone missing, that have lost their life. Again, I'm doing my part within our community to ensure that we are inclusive and that we are there to provide whatever support that our women need in order to feel protected and to feel that they're valuable within our communities. So on behalf of Garden River First Nation, I do want to send out my thoughts and prayers to all those families that lost loved ones, and I'll continue to work to ensure that our women and our people are protected. Miigwech.
We see you hurt, we hear you cry. No more tears and no more lies. We're here for you, we're by your side.